This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Nrl Supercoach Off the Bench. I'm your host, Ross. Tonight we are joined by Guy. Welcome, Guy.
Evening, lads.
And tonight we have a special guest from the Nrl Supercoach Pro and Nrl Fantasy Pro is Adrian. Welcome, Adrian.
Thanks, Ross. Great to be here.
So for those that don't know much about you, do you just want to just give us a quick rundown on exactly what you do, where they can find you and all that sort of stuff like that on social media?
Sure. Impossible to miss us. You must have seen us by now. What we do, well, we got fed up with NRL Fantasy having a coach subscription and Supercoach having the same, and really it being pretty garbage what they give. So over the years, we've really been working on a lot more kind of leading edge stuff that's a lot more applicable to fantasy and Supercoach. So what we've basically, the reason why we call ourselves Pro is because our goal has been to really put together a really professional suite of data resources and tools that tie into NRL Fantasy and NRL Supercoach. Stuff that's extremely applicable, extremely useful, very easy to use, not so gimmicky.
Yeah, awesome. I've got to say the site is absolutely unbelievable. If you haven't been on, jump on and have a look. There's some amazing stats there from whatever you need, basically. Absolutely everything there. So thanks for coming on, Adrian. I'm sure we'll go over some stats later on anyway. So
Yeah, sure.
First of all, let's just have a quick chat about some of the trial games from the weekend. So first up, we had Eels versus Knights. Guy, was there anyone that you were looking at that game and pretty impressed you?
Quite a few. Hopgood obviously is a must-have. Don't have to speak long about him. He worked hard. 3 offloads, a tackle bust, 38 tackles and 120 metres. I think it was quite impressive. Sean Russell, I know he scored a double for his 90, but I know a lot of people, including yourself, had Dunster. If Russell gets that spot, we're going to touch on him in the centre wings, but I think he was also looked quite good on that edge. As for Newcastle, obviously the two
What's the
that
price
I thought, Russell,
yeah,
I think you can check.
He's about
he's in that 300s.
He's about 380 or something, I think he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so they priced him up a bit from his big game last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Newcastle, I thought Marzu and Miller both looked quite good. Marzu, is a tackle busting beast. I think he had 9 in the game. Scored the try. But I thought Miller actually also looked quite good for his 51. The good thing with those two, they've both got quite an easy draw. So they could be both quite good pods. I thought Ponga was hot and cold. Moments of brilliance. And then just looked quite ordinary. I think, yeah.
I mean, even Munster looked like that today.
Yeah, so it's
Munster today.
It can be hard to read, but it's the thing with Ponga is Munster's that type of player that can just step up, and we see it quite often. I don't think we see it enough from Ponga. So, and he's in a new position as well. I thought Hastings looked quite okay alongside him. Kicked goals, was steady for him. But yeah, one to watch. If he gets that duel, that's the only way you'd consider him. And yeah, apart from that, I really wanted to know Deesafiti's minutes because he's currently in my front row. But yeah, not too much apart from that. Maybe Bradman Best scored a try at first game at centre. But yeah, what did you boys think?
I thought, Moses was brilliant for Parramatta as well. Not that I'm looking at him, but, if you're looking for that pod option, I think he's definitely worth it. I thought Murchie was pretty solid as well. Hopgood, yeah, he's pretty much nearly a must-have. And Marzu was absolutely awesome, just tackle bust left, right and centre. Ponga was a bit average. And obviously Sean Lane got injured with the broken jaw as well, so I see him out for a few weeks as well, which could be good for either Murchie or Dory. Maybe both could end up getting those edge spots until Matto gets back, possibly. What do you think? What about you, Adrian?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I was playing a $250 buy-in poker tournament all day. I don't pay a great deal of attention to trial games. People ask me, have you got stats on the trials? And to be honest, we've never bothered with them because they don't give the minutes for them for starters. So it's very hard to contextualise it. Few people are going to a lot of trouble trying to keep minutes themselves, but it's really hard because you're not always seeing players go off and come on. So it can be really hard to even keep the minutes yourself that way. Other factors to weigh in, like think about the Tigers game last week. Stefano looked absolutely beast, but he looked absolutely beast against a handful of NRL guys. Virtually none of the, I won't say none, a handful of NRL guys, and then quite a big mix of New South Wales Cup players and even Jersey flag players. So our kind of perspective is that looking back over players' actual NRL stats and then New South Wales Queensland Cup stats is always far more reliable than what you'll get out of a trial game. So we tend to more focus on team chemistry, what teams are kind of looking at, like especially if we've got a reason to have a red flag over a team for various reasons. For instance, we've had a red flag over both Manly and Broncos during pre-season, both with a number of factors that could lead to real kind of performance implosions. But both teams have come through the trials not showing any signs of that. So, we're kind of upgrading, undowngrading our expectations there as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the Knights and the Eels team-wise, with the Knights, Ponga, you don't have much sample to go off. But if you look at similar players, and are not necessarily entirely similar in their own game, but other players that have been 5'8" and fullbacks, you've got Munster, Drinkwater is another good one, Jack Whiten, any of those guys, there's very little difference between their Supercoach output at fullback and their Supercoach output at 5'8". So if he stays in the position, the fullback average that he's had should translate across. The biggest thing with the Knights really, I think, is just for this torrid injury run they've been under at the end. If that happens, they've got a favourable draw and they're going to perform pretty well in games.
Yeah, I understand that with Ponga, he will still act like a fullback and play like a fullback, but I still think he loses at least 10 to 15 points on kick returns.
But where you lose that there, you pick up in other areas?
Well, you meant to pick it up in tackling, but I don't think he's going to put his body on the line. And
well, not necessarily just tackling. You also pick it up in things like try assists, line break assists. It tends to, if you look at the other fullbacks that have played in both roles, where they lose in one area, they've tended to pick back up in another.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next game is Manly versus Roosters. Both teams were pretty stacked up. Roosters were missing a few players. They were missing Nat Butcher. Not Nat Butcher, Angus Crichton. They were missing Daniel Tupou. I think was he out too? I think. Or did he play? They were missing a couple other players too. But Manly were just far too good for them. Garrett got a hat-trick. He was outstanding. I thought Tulangi was good. Schuster, his 17 points don't show how well he played. He seemed to be popping up everywhere. And Nat Butcher was quite solid as well. Guy, was there anyone else that you liked from that game?
Tupou did play. Schuster scored and represent, but like he said, can't read too much in the trials, but I thought he did look good. Suali, I think, is one to mention, went off with the HIA. Not sure with the protocols, but just wanted to see more of him. Garrick, do you think he could be a pod? Could you start the year with him? I know most are starting with Vow. Do you think there's a case for Ruben?
Well, 742K.
Vow's up there.
He's currently 7.6% owned.
It's hard to be much of a pod at that price.
Yeah.
Does he have much upside at that price? He'd have to have a lot of upside at that price to really be a pod in my opinion.
Well, he scored 100, and that's without turbo. Normally with turbo, that's when he has that big ceiling. So, although the guy that KO Weeks, he did fill in quite well for turbo at the back. I thought he did look quite well.
Have you actually got those stats there, Adrian? I'm sure you've got everything there. So Garrick's points with and average with and without turbo in the team?
Yeah, I just already got him up. I'm not with or without turbo in the team. I don't know if there's enough sample for that, to be honest. And there's other factors in there as well. Because in that you've also got the post 7 players standing down because of a rainbow jersey.
Yeah.
So does the downside from that all correlate back to turbo not being there?
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure there's enough sample there to really go down that road, although it's a popular rabbit hole that a lot of people want to jump down. Looking at Ruben Garrick, though, he's priced at an average of 70.
Yeah.
His fullback average to date has been just under 72 from 20 fullback games, with 11 points coming from goal kicking. Wing average has been 62.5 from 65 games. Now, if we look more recently, so let's have a look at, let's just take his wing games, 2022.
Because how many games did he play in fullback last year out of his whole season there, Adrian?
Well, he had 7 games on the wing last year for an average of 62.4.
Yeah.
And that was with 7 points in goal kicking. So, maybe that could come up to 66. Like at 7, I'm finding it hard to see averaging 85. Can we see him averaging 85?
I think he could definitely go 75 plus with turbo.
Yeah.
Because a lot of turbo was gone for most of last year.
Is there still that talk there, though, of moving him into the centres, though? Because if he does, I don't like that at all. You wouldn't want him as an owner if he's playing centres.
Yeah.
Well, his average on the wing, so here's another big thing to consider. You're kind of saying Yuki's got turbo there. Is it because it's turbo there, or is it because it was 6 again ball?
No, turbo there with those cutouts. I just think he sets up the winger more often than not. Like Manly on the weekend, for example, hit the short ball a lot with Ola Kawadu and their back rowers to Alangi.
But pretty much all of his history with turbo there, all of his significant history with turbo there was 2021.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
that raises the question mark of, was it completely because turbo was there, or was it largely off the back of the way Manly benefited from the extended 6 again rules?
Yeah, I think it's one, the cutout balls, but 2, I think the goal kicking. I think just Manly will score more points. And yeah, I actually have them to be top 8 this year. But yeah, I don't know. I've got Holmes myself. I don't have Gary, but I think it could be a bit of a pod play, balls up play to go him over.
It would be tempting if Holmes' draw wasn't so juicy as it is. Like,
yeah,
and the first games are in Queensland. I think 3 of the first 4 are at home at Townsville. So,
and Garrick has the bye in round 2,
correct,
which also hurts because then you'd have to play one of your cheapies centre wing. Same with Toto. He has a buy in round 3, which turns me off him because then you have to play one of those cheapies.
Yeah, Guy. Now, Guy, I know you're pretty keen on Tuolungi. He looked pretty good there yesterday as well.
He did look powerful and quite impressive, but he's had a really bad injury history. So that does scare me a little bit. And traditionally, he's had a low PPM. So I don't know if it's just a one-off trial game. Should I read too much into it? I think Kepi looked good also. He's a bit safer just because he's priced a bit lower. What do you think of the Cheese? He ran a lot. He had the try assist to Collins. Are you sold on Cheese?
I don't have him in my team purely because I'm running 2 gun hookers. I think he can make money. I'm sure we can go to Adrian here and see whether you can work out roughly what he's projected to rise in the first few games.
Well, we have him as must-have value, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
while you're getting him up, the only other 2 that did impress me was Cooler. I really like him with the ball. He's 5 tackle busts and broke the line a couple of times.
He did look really good.
And Lodge, I thought he was very, very impressive. And I've got Daniel Safidi, but I'm really trying to consider going up to Lodge. He had a couple of offloads, 4 tackle busts, ran for over 100 metres and over 20 tackles. And I think it was only about a half a footy. So he was quite busy.
Yeah, I think he only played 40 minutes and I think he scored something like 40 odd points as well. So he was pretty solid as well. Definitely. Yeah.
So converting you back to a Brandon Smith owner, Ross, we completely took out his 2021 stats. We didn't look at them at all. We looked at his hooker games from 2020 and 2022, and from those with a projected minutes average of 65, we're seeing 20 points value, 219k value there, which is just, I think, too hard to turn down. The other players we like are Grant and Cotter at hooker.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not Cotter. Robson.
Yeah.
But Supercoach wise, I think, and that 20 points value, that's with upside if you start scoring tries as well. And with the draw that Roosters have, generally with hookers, you don't want to get too carried away with the soft draw because a lot of their scoring's base, so a soft draw doesn't really necessarily favour them.
Yeah.
But
Brandon Smith is the sort of player that could start racking up a few tries against some soft teams.
Especially seeing what the Dolphins did tonight. I'm a non-owner like you, Roscoe. I've currently got Sonny Luke as my cheap. He didn't play today, so don't know what's happening there. But my main issue with Cheese is what you touched on, his minutes. I know a few people expect him to go into 13 for a bit of time. I don't see that happening at the Roosters.
I didn't buy him for that.
So, and I think they'll definitely carry either a Randall or a Hutchinson off the bench. So yeah,
well, Robinson more or less said so in interview. He basically said in the interview after the game that they're really not looking at Brandon to be playing 80 minutes every week. A 65 average week, we'd expect him to play 60 minutes normal weeks, and every now and then he'll have to put in overtime due to in-game injuries. Yeah. So, over the course of the season, probably that average will come out around 65. Robinson basically said that, they want him out there going hell for leather rather than, so if that's two 30-minute stints, then so be it, rather than trying to sort of get him to marathon the game. But he only needs a 65-minute average to have a ton of value.
He looks like he's like lost a bit of weight too. He's probably too small to be playing in the forwards now anyway, I reckon.
I think it's just the jersey's tighter fitting than what he was wearing at Melbourne, to be honest. They are very tight fitting, those Roosters jerseys.
Yeah. All right. Well, the next game was Panthers versus St Helens. Obviously, Saints got the bickies there in Golden Point. There wasn't really much there I saw for the Panthers. Cleary got 56 points. Didn't really do a lot. Got a try assist. They were really missing Appy, Martin, and Edwards in that game too. I thought they were pretty average without them. Definitely Appy. For me, Mitch Kenny doesn't seem like to be doing that damage at hooker that what Appy would do. So
well, they lost him early. How long was Mitch Kenny actually on the field for?
I don't think he played that long.
Out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They didn't have Sonny Luke, and I really wanted to see Sonny Luke.
He's not down on injury list. I don't know why he didn't play. I'm not too sure.
But you did, yeah. Kenny, I think the thing with Cleary, he just doesn't get as much time with the service. But he still kicked well. I mean, he scored 56. It could have easily been an 80, 90 for Cleary. I thought Garner, I think we're going to have to
put the X through Garner.
Well, maybe not put the X, just lower our expectations and just reassess come team list. But yeah, I definitely think it was outplayed by Hosking.
And which is a bit of a concern. I mean, obviously we'll find out team list, but I think with Martin come back in that team, he'll go back onto that right edge, and then that left edge will either be Garner or be Hoskins. Depends on who they're going to give it to.
And then the last one was Toto. I actually thought he was quite quiet, but I mean, his quiet games, he scored 67. I know it included a try. Didn't have a line break, so you take it out, it's 50. But he still ran 167 metres with 5 tackle busts.
Yeah.
So his floor's so high.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was reading up the stats on him earlier, and he's actually 18.9% owned, which I'm surprised about. I didn't think he'd be owned by that many.
He's well priced. He's like, you can save 100K, I think, almost on Holmes, and who was that one we touched on? Ball Gary, yeah.
What were you going to say on him, Adrian?
Can't remember now, but I think the biggest absence was Dylan Edwards. You know, Stephen Crichton doesn't give them what Dylan Edwards does. Dylan Edwards just gets there. He's usually one of the absolute leading meter makers, not only for the Panthers round to round, but for the entire NRL round to round.
Yeah.
You know, the start that he gives them to a lot of their sets, you know, not only were they missing kind of that from Mappy, they were kind of missing that from Dylan largely as well. And the conditions were torrential. You know, they were so bad that there was serious talk about, you know, possibility of game delays due to lightning, refs having to come, you know, bring the teams off the field. They ended up starting on time and playing through uninterrupted, but they were horrendous conditions to play in as well.
Yeah, I think they actually delayed the second half. I'm pretty sure because there was lightning around too.
Okay.
They did delay it by a few minutes. Yeah, look, they said, like as you said, Adrian, they definitely missed Edwards, and I think they missed that. They're going to miss Appy big time this year too, as well. There's no doubt about that.
Something funny I find, ownership of Toe versus ownership of Tungo. Very, very similar in price, aren't they?
Yeah, but Tungo doesn't give you the base. He relies more on the attack.
Well,
the thing we also should mention from the game is I think it was Taylor May went off with the HIL or something, and they had Salmon, I think, come out and play at centre inside To'o, so that just killed To'o getting any ball. So for him to get that was more of an impressive score, I thought, with having Salmon inside him.
Well, I think the first are they going to play Taruva wing or centre? Because they were actually playing in centre in that game, weren't they? Oh, but that was because they had Crichton at fullback.
Yeah, Crichton was fullback, so Edwards.
I think May's looking at playing left wing the first two games unless they just stick to Ruva straight to left wing anyway and leave May on the right where he is.
No, May's suspended for the first 2 games.
Oh, sorry, that's right. Forgot about that. Forgot about May.
So Taruva will play the first 2, and then when May comes back, he'll take his wing spot back.
Right. So will Taruva play on the left wing, or will they move To'o to the left wing?
I think he'll play left wing Taruva.
Right. So they'll just leave To'o in his now normal right wing position.
With Crichton inside.
Yeah. There's a lot of name bias between To'o and Tago, however you pronounce it. And again, going back to that 2021 6 again ball season. Now, if we look at 2020 and 2022, To'o's numbers are almost identical. And they're up, haven't got them up on the screen, but I think it's somewhere around a 58-ish average. That sound right?
Yeah. All I know is he's got just a tremendous base and a tremendous floor. And the thing with Tago as well, in those years previously, he's played on the left and had kick-out supporting him, whereas this year, I think kick-out's a massive loss, and I don't think they're going to go left as much as they have been in the past without him.
Yeah, but Tago's still beast enough to do stuff on his own as well.
Yeah, but having Garner as a decoy is not going to attract as many players as kick-out. So it's... Yeah.
Well, looking at I've got it up on screen now, looking at To'o's year to year. So 2019, just under 57, 2020, just under 59, 2022, just over 59. Then you've got 6 again ball in there at 84. You see a clear difference. So shifting over to right wing isn't going to be the best for him anyway. It might not make too much difference. He still managed to get the numbers last year, but I'd be expecting To'o to pretty much be ceilinged around 60. I don't see much room for him to go up above that. Tago still, I think, has room to go up. He hasn't. I don't think he's plateaued out as yet. At the same price, I'd be a lot more tempted by him on the left side centre than pretty much just paying market price for To'o on the right wing.
What do you think, Roscoe?
Oh, look, I like To'o. I do.
Over Tago?
I don't know. I just think To'o's got that really good base, and he makes a lot of runs. He looks for the ball. He's one of those ones that just goes looking for it. So, but yeah, if out of the two, probably go To'o just. But Tago's is good as well. But yeah.
All right, we'll go on to Dragons Rabbits.
Okay, well, we actually have Tago's base being bigger.
Yeah, right. Definitely doesn't run as many.
In terms of
tackles, yeah, because he's not on the wing.
In terms of tackles plus hit up points, he comes out just a bit in front. In tackle breaks, he's at 2.78 a game, and To'o is at 5.02. So there's a little bit more there in tackle breaks. I don't think it comes out to be too much of a difference between them, though.
With the tackles, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to this game.
I think there's a lot of a bit of bias there that he just had such a beast year in 2021.
And he passes the eye test so well. He's such a lovable character.
Is that?
All right, we'll move on to the next game, which is Dragons versus Rabbitohs. Cameron Murray was just beast mode again. What can I say? 81 points. Cody Walker 77, Nrl 68, Cook 66. For Dragons, Sloan had a bit of a mixed game. He was okay in patches, but made a few mistakes in defence, in particular. But
who's that?
I know Sloan, Tyrell Sloan.
Sloan, right?
So I know, Guy, you're pretty keen on him. Do I might get you to pull up some numbers there, Adrian, if you've got them on Sloan, you know, in regards to what you project he's going to make in cash wise.
But before I get to him, the other ones you mentioned, Murray was a weapon. I think it did include a couple of line breaks and tries, but it did look good.
Yeah, but he has those attacking stats in him every single week, though. He's got that in his game.
Yeah, they do have a tough draw to start, and I don't know. I just think it's at second row this year. There is just quite a bit of value to work your way up to him. But yeah, Nrl also looked dangerous every touch, and I thought he goal kicked very well.
With Murray though, it's now or never.
Do you think so?
You can
He's not
only
gonna
own
go
him
up.
the first 12 rounds.
Yeah.
You can't own him past 12 rounds. You definitely can't own him round 13 to round 19. You can't have that much money sitting out that many games. And their buys don't largely tie in with the major origin rounds either. So then you come out of round 19, they've actually got a buy round 20, and then they've got another buy round 26, which for most people is head-to-head finals week.
So you probably have to start him and sell him around about round 12, then you're saying?
So you either like make the most out of him at the beginning of the season, or you pick him up round 21 with a few luxury trades up your sleeve so that you can actually afford to trade him out if you need to round 26.
Yeah.
The buys are just so different again now that we're back to kind of like 2013, 2012 times.
Yeah. So what else did you like from that game, Guy?
The best 13 makes the buys a little bit different though this year.
It does.
From Souths, the one that interests me the most, and you're probably going to hate it, is Cody Walker. He's just every attack. He's just he's involved, and I know his base isn't good, and I'm always one for my base, but I just think this year, I think he was something like 1 or 3%. No one wants him. Everyone's on Dewey and Burton. I don't mind Dewey. I'm not a biggest fan of Burton for Supercoach. But yeah, I actually thought Cody Walker could be a really good pod if I was to go to gun 5/8.
I really rate him as a player, and I think he's a really, really good player when he's on his game. But when he's not on his game, he for me, he goes missing too much, and he doesn't have that base that some of the other halves have.
Yeah, well, he does have the goal kicking, but yeah, I don't know. I think
I love him as a player, but he just goes missing a lot. How did you go with Sloan? You got some numbers there for us?
Yeah, there's question marks. The first place to start is, where do we see the Dragons being on the ladder?
And how many points? Because that's the thing with him.
Souths really made them look like they were going to be way down the bottom with Warriors.
Well, now with Dolphins, maybe we can score some on the Dolphins. But that's what I think. I just think with Sloan, any attack that the Dragons get, it's either going to be through Lomax or Sloan. And I think it's more Sloan because he plays in the middle of the field. He's just got the pace, even to back up, like a try backing up. He didn't look the best. He has a lot of drop ball. His confidence was a bit shot. But he still had a couple of line breaks, 4 tackle busts, and he still scored a 55. I just think he's priced at like a 27 or 28. I think he'll definitely make it at least 100K. He's like 290K.
He averaged that last year playing fullback.
Well, he didn't play much for it. He got dropped. He only played, I think, was it 1 or 2 games before he got dropped? Then they had Ramsey.
Okay.
Hook
I just had his New South Wales Cup. I'll just switch back to his NRL. So last year he
got dropped from first grade last year. Cody Ramsey ended up finishing the year for as a fullback.
Yep.
Same thing last year. People started with him, and then he looked a bit bad and got dropped. But I'm just
okay. He played 4 games last year at fullback for 42 average.
Yeah.
What's he priced at? 27.
Yeah, 290K. He's like 27, 28.
Yeah. So at that, yeah. should be okay.
I wouldn't be confident playing him in year 17 every week, but I just think at 290k you can sit on the reserve and eventually he'll make a bit of cash. The only issue is if Hook does drop him.
That's what I'm worried about.
But Cody Ramsey's not there anymore. Moses Mbai.
Who does he drop him for?
Moses Mbai is the only option other than Jack Bird. But I don't know. I just think.
I think Jack Bird's got the pace for fullback.
Yeah. And Mbai.
I think Moses does, I think. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Look, if we look at his Queensland Cup, New South Wales Cup, Supercoach scoring for last year, he had 13 games, average 63 points.
He can score twice. He's got great attack. That
was with a 76.9% try scoring strike rate. I don't see him getting too close to that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Dragons,
if Dragons score though, he will play a part in it.
And he only averaged 2.7 tackle breaks a game in that as well.
A lot of line breaks. He's got really big speed. Like he's electric.
I think somewhere around low 40s. If Dragons are really stinking it up, which they're looking like they're going to, make your money at low 40s and get out if that's where you're going.
The only other ones that from the game, Moali looks strong for a try. Fierce, cheapy, front row spot on the bench. Bud Sullivan, he came off the bench and he probably looked our most spark in attack. So I hope he gets the 6th spot over Mbai, and Mbai plays, because Mbai's such a good 14. He can play anywhere. So yeah, I'd love to see if Bud does get the start in 6th spot. He's only 319k. I think he's dual Hooker 5'8", similar to Tanner Boyd. But yeah, definitely one to watch. They don't you wouldn't buy him to start because they've got to buy round 1. But if your Tanner Boyd does fail or something, you could definitely have him on your watch list.
Yeah. The good thing with Sloan is he's available at centre. If he was fullback only, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me to buy him because
you wouldn't get him
too many premium points in that position. But at that price, in your bottom 3 centres, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I didn't watch too much of the Charity Shield game. How did Totola look? Or you weren't really looking at him?
Well, it's just hard with the forwards because you're not sure on their minutes, so you can't really judge their PPM. The backs are a little bit easier because they're.
And it's also quality of opposition comes into a big time as well.
Yeah, like Musgrove for the Dragons had about 4 offloads. I thought he was our best. But yeah, you don't know. Like BMM from, I think he's 230k. He's the cheapest. Yeah. He's the only one you could own apart from Sloan from the Dragons because of his price. If he gets that starting edge spot, which he did in the trial, and he had 5 tackle busts and 2 offloads. So 230k if he does get the starting edge spot for the Dragons in the back row over Fuimaono reversing, then he could be one to watch.
Well, we can really see Totola being early stages Tarpanay before everybody jumps on the train.
So at 13, I'm just not sure if they're going to stick with Gula at prop and him at 13. They could easily put Tarpanay to prop and put Horsburgh or someone else at 13 or Sutton.
I'm talking about Totola, Souths.
Oh, Totola. The one who actually I thought was, other than Moali, who looked good at the middle, I actually thought Burgess probably outpaid Totola. He ran for quite a few metres, Tom. But yeah, I don't know. I just think front rows are very hard in trials to judge.
Well, if you look at Totola from round 15 or 16 onwards, his role in the forward pack just went to a whole new level. All of a sudden, he was consistently playing like 50 plus minutes, up to 60 minutes every week. Really seemed to enjoy the extra seniority. Really started hitting some attacking numbers as well. If that's an indication of what we're going to get at the start of the season, then I can see him being in for a big year.
All right, we'll move on to the next game, Broncos versus Cowboys. Probably a few players from that game that were pretty outstanding. I thought Carrigan was really, really good. Scott Drinkwater was good. Val Holmes is, pretty good as well, and Ruben Cotter as well. Cobbo was a bit rocks and diamonds again after his Indigenous game as well. Seems to make a few mistakes. That's the only thing I don't like about him. But Guy, did you get into that game? Who'd you like in that one?
Yeah, Cobbo's too expensive to start, but it was a tough job playing fullback. I think in the interview after, he said he was quite gassed because he didn't realise how much he had to run as a fullback compared to when he's normally on the wing. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into Cobbo. I love Paddy Carrigan. I'm very close to going DFE down to Pat. I know he doesn't have that ceiling. I just think his PPM and just his work rate. I think he'll get the minutes. He'll be one of their main.
How many minutes are you expecting in that?
Oh, I think at least 65 to 70.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, Haas is similar priced, although different position in the forwards. But I don't know. I just think with Haas's injuries and suspensions, and I think Carrigan is a little bit more safer. But then it's different because he's different position. The other ones that caught my eyes, I do love Drinky, although there's a lot of fullbacks you can go. But yeah, apart from that, and I thought Ezra Mann had a good game, although not super coach wise, but he looked quite good.
Yeah. All right.
What do you think of Tony
What about
Staggs?
Stags? Are any of you keen on Stags because we're on the centre wings? No.
He's hurt me too many times before owning him.
Adam Reynolds' teams tend to have a lot of right to left shape. So it doesn't really favour Staggs out at right centre. And I think back to last year, do you think he got a lot of quality ball at right centre last year?
He was just very hot and cold. Like I
just don't think they feed him. I just don't think they utilise him enough. That's the only thing. I don't think he sees enough ball.
Well, that's what I'm basically saying. If the attacking shape's very much the other way, which is always tended to be the case with Adam Reynolds' teams.
Yeah. Anything else on that game, Guy, before we move on?
No, just looking at Paddy Carrigan's stats: 4 offloads, 3 tackle busts, and 193 metres. Just an absolute beast.
Yeah. Who was that, Adrian?
At the moment, we've been down on the Broncos. We saw enough in that game to basically take them out of our sort of bottom 5 sort of rankings for the year. Doesn't look like they're going to have a big meltdown the way it looked like they could. They seem to be fluid enough. They seem to be happy enough. So, I mean, is there room for Herbie Farnworth at left centre to really light up this season?
He's the one I like. I've picked him up in a couple of drafts and I don't mind him in there. I just don't know if he's worth it for Classic though. But I do rate him as a player. They seem to go to that left edge a lot more than what they go the other side though. So he could be a good option this year. For sure. Do you like him at all, Guy?
No, I don't think I could go anyone in the back line. I'm more interested in the forward.
The Broncos?
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next game, Warriors versus Storm. I thought for the Storm, Welsh was probably one of their best players. He was solid as usual. They obviously took all their players off. I think just near half time, they took most of their players off, and Warbrick was good too. Adrian, I know you're a massive Storm fan, so tell me, do you think with Manny playing fullback and perhaps out for the first 6 to 8 rounds, do you see Warbrick getting that wing spot? Or do you think that Jennings or one of the other guys might end up beating him to it?
Well, Jennings isn't ready. And Warbrick's looking like the man who's got it at the moment. If he does
But-
have it,
For how long? I mean, he's got Seve, he's got Olam, we've got Pappy coming back. Like,
well, Seve's never really been competition. Seve's been kind of fringe. Olam's probably going to miss about the first 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
George Jennings, I think, was, let me just pull up. I've got the casualty ward here, so I just pull Storm up. Yeah, George Jennings around round 4 at the moment. Olam looking at about round 6. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity there for Warbrick. I'm still interested to see if they maybe give Farlongo an upgraded contract into the top 30 as well, because he actually could be quite, he's got plenty enough X factor at fullback if needed.
Yeah.
Um,
I just like what I saw from him today. Ex-rugby player too. He just looks so strong as well.
Yeah, I think Katoa outplayed Lorero, I think, for that edge spot. Katoa scored 58 points, which was quite good. Munster got a late try again. Didn't do too much, just stepped up when he needed to. What do you boys think of Harry Grant? Bit below average, but
He made a good line break for one of the tries. I thought he was all right, but I don't know. Like, can you read much into it though? Being a trial, like, I really don't know. I've got Harry Grant in my team, and he'll be there the whole season. I won't be taking him out.
Trials has significantly changed from 10 years ago. Have you picked up that teams play a lot less trial football these days?
that who?
Teams generally play a lot less trial football now than what they did 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, because you risk injury.
As the seasons got longer and the rep seasons on the end has become more demanding as well. And, you know, teams have lost enough players to injuries during these over the years. I think they're playing a lot less trial football. You know, back a few years ago, teams, their top grade players would have 2-3 hit outs. Now they're having 1/2 of a hit out. They're doing a little bit more in-club opposed sessions with their reserve graders, putting their players at risk less in trial games. The half to 3/4 of an actual trial that the top grade players play is really nothing more than a blow out the cobwebs, isn't it?
Was there anyone else from that game? I thought Jackson Ford wasn't too bad in the forwards for the Warriors, but other than that, I didn't really see much else that I liked there from the Warriors.
I didn't mind Tohu. I thought he was worked well, good effort. I think he'll definitely be an option at some point with his front row duel, and doesn't play Origin through then.
The other one I liked from that game was Nikore, but I didn't see much of him that game that really stood out and made me want to have him in my team.
And I didn't get much clearer thoughts on CNK or Remus Smith in the centre wing, but they're both quite, 300 to 400k centre wings, but didn't do too much.
Yeah, I really don't like CNK. He's not even in my team at the moment. I don't think I'm going to start him. I just don't like him. Anyone else?
I think Warriors' draw is just so bad the first 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And CNK is really going to be dependent on some attacking stats along the way, and it's hard to see much there for him. It's really easy to see him being a total bust.
Yeah, I agree. I just, that's why I can't go there. Especially with that draw, it's not good at all. So, do you have him in your team?
Looks like really good front row value though.
Who's that?
Christian Welch looks like really good front row value.
Definitely. Yeah, he should play about 60 minutes, shouldn't he? 60, 65 minutes.
Well,
no, that's high. No, it'd be more like 50.
Yeah.
50 to maybe getting his average up towards kind of mid-50s, around 55. We've got him probably averaging around 45 minutes early in the season.
Right.
But, you know, depending on how his fitness is at the moment, that could be more like 50. But even at average, we're only projecting at 45 minutes and see almost 100K value there. So there's upside for more. Coming back from an Achilles, I don't think it's going to impact him as much as if he was like a winger or centre. I don't think it's going to hamper his game too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Welch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Welch and Katoa, I thought were the main two forwards in Melbourne.
All right, we'll move on to the next game. Tigers versus Raiders. Raiders were pretty average. Tigers were actually really good in attack, and the defence was really good too, only letting them score one try.
Just one point before we continue on with that game. Warbrick last year in Queensland Cup, 14 win games, averaged almost 57 points a game with a 71% try scoring strike rate, average of 4 tackle breaks a game.
Interesting.
So if he does get a wing spot, I think you have to go with him. And if Meany's going to be playing fullback for the first 6 to 8 rounds, there's a good chance that Warbrick's going to be able to cement up that wing spot.
You have to think that if he gets that spot to start and he plays well enough, that he should be able to keep out Jennings and whoever else is there out of the spot, surely.
Well, Jennings has never
At least
played a
until-
Queensland Cup
until
game
Maps
while he's
is
been at Storm.
Yeah.
But there's a first time. You know, at the end of the day, they can't all be in the NRL team.
Yeah.
Who'd you like from the Tigers, Roscoe?
I thought Dewey was absolutely outstanding, and I still can't believe, looking at this ownership, that he is so lowly owned compared to Matt Burton. I'm really
He's
intrigued by
miles
that.
in front of Burno.
I think Burton's like 40% owned, and I think Dewey's only about 17% owned, and I expect that to change after today. I really do.
I have them both.
Yeah, the other one who was really good in that game for the Tigers, if you can get that swing spot, it was Junior Tupu as well. Had an absolute blinder for the Tigers. He was really, really good. Stefano wasn't too bad again either. Other than that, I didn't really see much else there, Guy. Did you catch the game? Was there anyone else that you liked in that game?
I liked Dewey. I thought the one who I was looking for, I was disappointed with, was Trey Mooney. Heard a lot of raps on him at Canberra. It will definitely be a slow burn on your bench if you take him. Tommy Talau.
Stewart has a habit of giving players apprentice minutes their first couple of seasons. It's very rare for a forward to come into a Ricky Stewart side and be getting like significant minutes first year.
Yeah, I think Talau was good too. He was pretty solid as well. Yeah,
I thought Talau ran some good lines, and only get about 4 or 5 tackle busts with the ball. He's about 370K at centre wing, so I didn't mind him. But again, the forwards were just hard to read on minutes, like with Stefano and Clemmer and stuff.
Yeah, well, they took the other guys off pretty early. I know often Gowie didn't play. Clemmer only played about half the game. I think IPAP only played about half the game as well. So, yeah.
So the Tigers at the moment, it's looking like 12's going to go back to starting lock. Are we all kind of seeing that?
I think Offa will be locked.
Well, word we've heard around the traps is Offa's been told that he's not a lock. He's just not a lock forward.
Where would he play?
Front row.
They're quite
stacked. This is what we've heard. We've heard the coach has actually said to him that you're just not a lock. That the coach actually has the more traditional view that the lock is more a ball-playing middle rather than just a third prop, which for a lot of teams these days, lock is just a third prop. But he seems to be more the mindset that their lock's going to be a ball player. So,
But 12's not a ball player.
No.
The other option there is Bateman and Matamua.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's been a bit of talk about
if-
Matamua starting at lock.
however it goes down, if Offa Hengawi is not starting lock, he's starting front row with David Clemmer.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see
If
come
that's
team
the
list.
case,
That'll rule Stefano out if that's the case.
yeah, if
Yeah.
that's the case, like how many minutes is Stefano going to get?
Yeah. Yeah, if that's the case, you can't start Stefano. He'll be out of my team if that's the case.
Yeah, you'd go with Kepi
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
They've just got to, their minutes are huge now. Clemmer's big. We've got Clemmer down for 55 minutes average. Papali and Bateman 75 minutes average between them if they're playing edges. Offa Hengawi is going to play, you know, if he's playing front row, he'll probably play around 60, 55 to 60. There's not a lot of middle rotation minutes over. And then you've got 12. If 12's not starting lock, if he's starting off the bench, then he's taking up 55, 60 minutes off the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't go near him if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Anyone else at all? That's it for that game. Nothing else. So what were you going to say, Adrian, in regards to Burton v Dewey? Who's projected to make the most cash out of? Who we got projected to make the most cash out of those two?
Well, we're rolling with both of them.
Okay.
We've got Dewey down for about 200k value. And we've got Burton down for a conservative 120k value. Burton, though, has the real potential. If Bulldogs gel and click, which they well could, they've got the roster for it. Burton's got absolutely all the potential in the world to jump up there with Hines and Cleary.
It's a bit of a concern if he's not goal kicking, though. That's the only thing.
Well, we hear he is goal kicking.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll see what
Alamotti
happens.
kicked today.
That was in the second half when I think Burton was off the field, and I think Flanagan might have been off the field too.
And I think, yeah, but he took the first one for kick out but missed.
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, talking about the Dogs, they're up next. Dogs versus the Sharks. Dogs were very disappointing. Sharks just absolutely towed them up and were pretty impressive. And we'll start, for me, I thought our RFM, Mariner, was quite strong. Reid Marnie was quite good as well. Teague Wilton had a big game as well. And Nico Hines, massive game from Nico, was just in everything. So, Guy, was there anyone else other than those guys that really impressed you from that game?
Well, I expected a little bit more from Alamotti. I was hoping him no tackle bust or anything because I was maybe going to try and rely on him to be in my 17 at centre wing. Birdo, yeah, I don't think he's a good buy to start the season.
Perham wasn't really involved much either, I found too.
Yeah, Perham didn't do too much. I thought Nico just made my heart melt like he always does. Just want to write him a love letter. He always just looks good, and I think you have to start him.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be tearing apart my side to get him back in now, I think. So, actually, Adrian, if you can pull up some numbers for us, I'm interested to see what numbers you've got for Hines as to how he's going to go, because, I mean, I did a segment on to Hines or not to Hines a couple of days ago and looked at their draw and his average against the certain teams he's coming up against, and I just think he's proof. And
Dragons, Warriors.
I think he's got Dragons, Warriors, round 4 and 5, who he averages over 100 against both those teams. I mean, if you don't start him, surely you're not going to bring him in like round 4 for that. You know, if you're going to bring him in, you're going to start him, right? You're not going to bring him in round 4 for those two matchups.
And he put up 100 points against the Eels early last year, didn't he?
He did.
And they finished
yes.
top 14.
Yeah. He's got a decent
so-
average, I think, against the Panthers. I think his average is pretty good against them too.
Yeah, so I mean, his points come from anywhere and everywhere. He's reasonably matchup proof. It's not like, he's got some tough opponents who'll score 30s in those games and lose a bunch of cash. That's just not likely to happen. He's every likelihood of putting up 120 against a strong team rather than 30 against a strong team. Their draw's quite good. There's quite a lot of sort of flat track bully teams for him to feast on in that first 12 rounds as well. So definitely worthwhile starting with.
Yeah.
The one who I did want to mention, Teague Wilton, 72. I know he scored a try, but if Graham is not in the team, or if he watches and he plays middle, I definitely think if Wilton's playing, if he does get 80, I think everyone will bring him in.
Yeah. I have him in my team at the moment. I liked what I saw from him from the first trial as well. I think he scored 52 points in 40 minutes the first game as well. So if he gets that spot, I just have to hope that he plays 80 minutes, and hopefully Graham's not there anywhere to be worried about him.
Yeah, that's the only issue with Graham.
Yeah.
I think the value forward there is and he's extremely low ownership, is Royce Hunt.
Yeah, Brad loves him. He's got a great PPM. If he can get the minutes, it's just Finucane and McInnes play quite high minutes in the middle.
We've even allowing for that. We've got Braden Hamlin-Uele and Royce Hunt pretty much both averaging around 40 minutes. And at 40 minutes, there's 110k-ish value in Royce Hunt with his PPM. We've got Blake Brayley down pretty much for the full. Hamlin-Uele down for 40. Toby Rudolph 50. Nakora 78. Then you've got that left edge Wilton Graham factor.
Yeah.
Dale Finucane 50. So that leaves for the McInnes 50 on the bench and Royce Hunt 40.
Yeah, well, I don't know where Royce Hunt was today, because Hamlin-Uele started, and he wasn't on the bench, so I'm not too sure what the go is with him. That's why, because I was keen to watch him. But yeah.
So did he trial at all?
No, it was Rudolph and Hamlin-Uele who started, and he didn't come off the bench.
Okay. Oh, they might have held him out with a niggle or something.
Yeah, they had that.
Yeah. You're going to see probably Braden Trindle on the bench, or somebody as a back utility on the bench more often than not. So more often than not, Sharks are only going to have 3 forwards on their bench.
You don't think Brayley will play 80?
Oh, Brayley will mostly play 80, but the way concussions are now, it's really become the norm for teams to have some sort of a spine and back option on their bench.
Well, Wade Graham could be utility.
And even looking at, so let me I can share screen here, can't I? Let me pull up one of the really, really valuable pages from our site, our forward minutes page.
I know what you mean. Normally they have like a Connor Tracy or a Braden Trindle or someone.
Yeah, more often than not, last year, see if I can share screen this.
But anyone else in the game that you like while we're waiting, Roscoe?
Not really, no. I mean, Mulatalo had a pretty strong game as usual, but I don't think I could go there. But there wasn't really anyone else that was really anything in that game, to be honest with you. There's a couple I was interested in, like Monto and Perrin, but they just didn't do a lot for my liking.
Talakai had 5 tackle busts, but I mean he's very hot and cold. That one where he was blowing up at the ref and let the Bulldogs guy pick it up and run. I thought, geez, what are you doing, mate? Play to the whistle.
All right. Well, the last game, which only just finished now, which obviously we don't know too much about because we don't have stats or anything yet, was Dolphins and the Titans. Pereira, just lock him in your team. He scored 4 tries tonight. Bottom dollar cheaper, you have to have him in your team. You agree on that one, guy? You think he's a must-have? He scored like 7 tries in 2 games.
Yeah, definitely.
Tackle busting machine too.
Khan Pereira we talking about?
Yeah.
Scored 3. He scored the first 3 tries for Titans in their trial game today.
Yeah, he got 4. Ended up with 4.
Ended up with 4. Yeah, then a lot of the attacks started going out to the other wing, and Jojo started getting in on the act with multiple tries over that side. So yeah, no, for Supercoach you should do quite well. The try scoring in Supercoach is just that big that he's going to make good money.
Yeah. Was there anyone else from that game that interested you guys at all? I know, Guy, you were pretty keen on Fafita.
Well, one who I always keep an eye on, who I didn't have too much interest in, and it almost confirmed it, was Tom Gilbert. In the front row, didn't impress me for the eye test too much.
Love him. One of the first picks.
The whole Dolphins team was a bit lackluster. But yeah, for the Titans, I mean, how much do you read into it versus that team? But yeah, I love Deefy. He's just got that upside that no one else in the second row has. The problem is, as I said before, there's a lot of value in that second row spot. So him down to a Wilton or save you a couple $100,000 and might not lose you too many points. But yeah, I do like him as an option.
Tanner Boyd, Adrian. I'm not keen on him. I think he's a bit trappish, but a lot of people seem to be on him at the moment. What numbers have you got there for him? And you guys are projecting him to make much cash?
Close to 200K.
Yeah.
He should be averaging around 55 with the goal kicking. I don't see him as a trap because either he doesn't get named in the halves round 1 and you don't get him, in which case he's not a trap. If he's, I can't see Holbrook putting him there round 1 and then panic switching him inside the first 6-7 rounds. I think he's going to have to. I think he'll pick and stick. And the Titans look like they're starting to gel a bit as well. They don't look
from what I saw that game, they didn't look too bad. I was watching it while we were on here. Didn't look too bad.
Aaron Schuop had 13 tackle busts, which is just crazy. I personally don't like Tanner Boyd, only just because of job security. Jaden Campbell on the bench, same with Aaron Clark.
You got Toby Sexton hanging around too.
Yeah. So
Crimson could easily move to the halves as well. There's just, I just don't trust them.
And either at hook or a half, you've only got 2 of them. So if you lose one, especially if you got Cheese on the bye round 3 and he ends up getting dropped, you'll be a bit screwed.
Well, I've got him in my halves. So I've got Hines and Boyd.
No Cleary.
No, I'm not starting with Cleary.
Oh. What's your reasons for that? I know they've got an early buy. Is that the reason why, or are you just you're looking for revenue just to make cash?
Part of it, I'm actually using a bit of strategy around the buys. I'm making quite a few selections on buy favourable players.
Right.
So Nico Hines is one of the few exceptions that I've gone with that has an early buy, but he's not likely to play Origin. So he's reasonably favourable from that perspective anyway. And he's got a couple of games against Dragons Warriors just before his bye. You know, I've gone with Reece Robson, Harry Grant at hooker. Both don't have buys early. Boyd in with Hines in the halves, Dewey and Burton in the 5/8 slot. So there's a little bit more in our team selection this season than just value and points. The whole buy strategy's coming into it a bit for us as well.
Yeah. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's about it for tonight. We were going to go through CTW, but positions, but we obviously had some issues with some of the guys not being able to make it on. So we might organise to do another pod during the week for that, just so we get everything covered position-wise before the season starts. So, Adrian, we'd like to thank you for coming on to the podcast tonight, and we appreciate everything that you do and coming on. And yeah, just check out the page, Nrl Supercoach Pro. It's a great page, and everything is there that you need. So go check it out if you haven't already. And so thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, guys. And just on Titans, their draw isn't too bad either. You know, They haven't exactly got a horrid draw through the opening part of the season. So you've got Tigers first, then Dragons, then Storm at home. Then they've got the Cowboys, they're bye, then they're back to the Dragons, Broncos, back to the Dolphins. You know, so they haven't got all that horrid a draw. I think if Tanner Boyd gets to 7, it's really hard value to not take.
Yeah. All right, and thanks again, guys, for coming on.
No worries, boys, and enjoy the week, and we'll be back to Supercoaching soon.
And just one more last thing before we go, don't forget about the fundraiser that we're doing, the $10 knockout fundraiser that we're doing to raise funds for Matty Wilson and his family. So if you're interested in jumping into the thing, just jump onto our page, Nrl Supercoach Off the Bench. All the deets are there, and once you've paid, you will get you added into the group. $100 will go to the prize money to the winner. If they want to donate it back to Matty, they can. The rest will go to Matt and his family. Adrian, you're also donating a prize for that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're the 2 teams that make the final of that will both get a platinum subscription for 2024 for us.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I really appreciate that you throwing that in. So we're also working on some other gears, some jerseys and stuff for getting donated to auction off as well to raise some more money for Matt and his family. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you next Sunday.
10 days to go.
Cheers, lads.